My name is Robert Eugene Gordon. I was in Vietnam as a first lieutenant from June of 1968 until July of 1969. I was in a motor transport company involved in moving all kinds of supplies north and south of the city of Quy Nhon and east to west over to almost to the Cambodian border to Pleiku. I was there right after one of the biggest battles in Vietnam, the Battle of Hue. So it was still a lot of activity going on. Well, in the area where I was at, which was called the Two Corps Tactical Zone, there was a lot of, shall we say, Viet Cong sympathizers, and there were a lot of Viet Cong as opposed to the regular Vietnamese army, which were called the NVA, the Army of Northern Vietnam. And so many of the people were farmers by day and VC by night, so it was a very relatively unsecure area. We had to drive about, for example, our convoys to Pleiku, we were going over 100 miles one way through very, very curvy. We went through two very significant mountain passes. The vehicles would get slowed down because they were heavily loaded, and a lot of curves and twists, and it was just ideal country to get ambushed in. We were delivering food, rations, all kinds of things that the combat soldiers really needed. And it gave, you know, every day up in the morning early and come home late at night, it still gave you a pretty good feeling that you were making a contribution and you were doing something that needed to be done. Those soldiers depended on us arriving with the supplies. Very often there were what was called a switchback. In other words, the road would go this way and then it would go back this way. And very often they would get in between the two roads, and you're going uphill and the trucks are getting slower and slower, and they would just start shooting, and our gun trucks on the high side would try to shoot down at them, and the trucks on the low side would try to shoot up at them. Quite frequently the drivers got injured. We had a number of KIA, or killed in action. It was not something you want to do every day. I stayed in for almost 24 years. I retired in 1990. I retired as a lieutenant colonel. I got real lucky. I came out and I decided to stay in the Army, so I got a tour to Camp Zama right after Vietnam. And it was a 3-year tour. I ended up getting assigned to our ammunition depots as a port operation officer, outloading and receiving ammunition down in Kure in Hiroshima Prefecture. So I got to stay out of Vietnam longer than most did, and I guess fortunately for me, the war had started winding down and was pretty well. By 1970, end of 72, was not nearly as much activity as there had been. We just started withdrawing troops by that time. That's hard to say. I don't like to try to second guess my government leadership and my leaders. You know, was it necessary? Was it good? Was it bad? I didn't think that was my worry. I think what we were trying to do was the right thing, and I think we did the right thing. I feel bad for a lot of the guys that really gave a lot of the guys that were in a lot of combat, and they were treated very poorly, not only by the general population, but also by the government. they didn't take care of the wounded and the injured soldiers as well as I would have liked to see. I think it's gotten a lot better. I'm real happy to say that as we, as a lot of years have passed since I was there, I think that there's been a real change in the attitude about Vietnam veterans and the way we are treated.